You may have heard about the Perfume Garden at Chelsea. Now this is obviously known and famous for the fact that it's based around the scent that Queen Elizabeth I wore. I'm joined now by Patrick, who designed the floral part of it, and also by Laurie, who designed the actual structure itself. Thank you very much for joining me, boys.
Pleasure.
Can you tell me a little bit about the fragrance first of all? Would you like to?
Well, the fragrance, I suppose, is based around the garden itself. We're growing everything that is to do with the perfume industry, but we're really looking mostly, I suppose, Patrick, aren't we, at the rose?
I think so. That's the predominant ingredient in the Elizabethan perfume. It's basically two types of rose, damask and the centifolia, and that gives this beautiful soft rose fragrance. And those roses can be found actually in the garden today.
It's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about the original fragrance itself?
Yes, the Elizabethan idea.
Yes.
She was very keen on perfume, but it hadn't come into England around her time, so she had to send somebody to go out and find her.
Okay.
And they found it in the Middle East and came through Europe, and they brought back this idea of rose, musk, and sugar, and then you boil it and strain it. And it's quite a simple fragrance, but actually quite evocative. And if you smell it, you then get this rush. And then if you add Elizabeth I into it, you think, this is fantastic. I'm actually smelling something from 500 years ago, and it's quite a thrill.
It's incredible. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the structure as well? Because I've never actually seen how you extract the essence of a rose, as it were.
Yes, well, the traditional way of getting rose oil, which is predominantly the main ingredient for perfume, is to boil water, set the steam up through the rose petals, and then draw off the condensate, which forms the rose oil. And you need huge volumes of rose petals to get a very small amount of rose oil. So it's a very precious liquid.
It's incredible. So Patrick, can you tell me a little bit about the garden itself?
Yeah, of course. Basically, all the plants within the garden have some association with perfume. It's also illustrating the range of plants which are used, but also the different plant bits which are used. So, for example, we all know about flowers being used in perfume, but it's leaves, rhizomes, roots, resin. They've all been used at some point, and we're illustrating that through the species we've chosen in the garden.
And something that's really struck me as I walked onto this garden was the smell of it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the bees are enjoying
Like
it.
it.
I know. And it's something that I think people can often neglect when they're choosing their flowers for the receptions, how important the actual fragrance element can be. Can you tell me a little bit about flowers that you would choose to enhance the reception?
Well, I think you're quite right. I think whether it's for a bouquet or it's for the garden, people always look at a flower or a plant and don't really actually think about the fragrance, how it's going to smell. And I think also what's important is think about what plants will be available, what will be in season. You know, for example, spring flowering things like the bulbs, narcissus, or some early flowering lilies would be great for a reception. They do have such beautiful fragrances. And then later in the season, roses take effect. So let's think about the time of year, what's available, and also foliage is another important aspect.
And herbs. I've noticed you've got quite a few herbs sneaking in as well.
A lot of the Mediterranean herbs have also been used in perfumery, things like sage and thyme, especially because they have the essential oils, the aromatic essential oils within the leaves, which are used both for culinary uses but also for perfume as well.
I think it's amazing, especially when you think about fragrance, creating a fragrance that your guests are going to enjoy as well.
Yes.
And that's something you can really do with plants.
Yeah, so there is an opportunity. I always think with the design, we've got a fairly visually arresting display, hopefully. The smell then brings something else out. There's a chance you can get this tingle factor from it that is actually something you can't put your finger on. So if you get your smells right with the bouquet, as long as it looks lovely and it smells nice, it'll something that will probably stay with you for as long as you can remember.
And what I particularly love as well is that you've got these amazing flowers and they're completely complemented by a gorgeous fragrance.
What we've done is we've got the absolute superb fragrance from John Patou, who's a very old perfumer. And what we've done is taken an eau de toilette version of that and we're selling it for charity at the show. And if it's a success, we'll sell it beyond the show.
So watch this space.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations on your gold medal and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.